Happy Tuesday, amazing 5th and 6th block. I'm sorry you guys are asynchronous this morning. The reason for that is 8th graders are currently in our building right now at Slauson, and they are taking the PSAT, which is kind of like their M-STEP or their NWEA. They're taking that test. So all of us teachers are proctoring or giving that test to the 8th graders. So you guys are asynchronous this morning. We will be meeting synchronously all together this afternoon on our new schedule. So if you're curious about that schedule or confused, look on our Schoology page. You'll see it right there, the calendar that tells you what time to come back for a virtual synchronous lesson this afternoon through Zoom. So our morning agenda, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to briefly kind of talk about what to expect if you're coming back hybrid, because those of you who are coming back into the school, you will be in school on Friday. So what should you expect? Then we'll review what we covered last week, which was updraft forces, and then we'll work on air masses and have our closing. So what to expect in the classroom. This is not, if you're coming back hybrid, it is not going to look like a normal middle school day. It's going to look very different from that because of all the safety precautions that we have to take. And after talking to some kids, I found out that one of the biggest questions were, what in the world do we bring? What do we bring with us? So bring a backpack, and in your backpack have your Chromebook and your charger. You'll need your charger and your Chromebook. Science notebooks and notebooks for any other classes like ELA, math, or social studies. Pens and pencils in case you have to write in your notebook. And a water bottle. We will not be using lockers this year, so you'll be carrying your backpack with you. So I do recommend that you bring a bag or a backpack of some sort, and this is what you should have in it. So what is our classes going to look like? They're going to look very different than how they normally do. In my classroom and in every classroom, you're going to have assigned seats, and you're not going to be able to really move from those assigned seats. The reason is for contact tracing of COVID. There's lots of reasons, but you will have assigned seats. Once you come in my classroom and you're given your assigned seats, you need to remain in that seat for the entire class period, which is now 60 minutes. So for an hour, you're going to be in those seats. You're not going to be able to walk around the class. You're going to have to stay in your seats. We have to maintain social distancing, and the only way to do that is to have you move in your seats to have you stay in your seats and only move when instructed. Right now, you are used to being able to go get a drink or go to the bathroom or go move around anytime you need or anytime you want. That is not going to be the case in the classroom. We are going to have limited passes in and out of class, limited restroom passes, limited water bottle passes, limited movement in and out of the classroom during class time. So what I'm trying to really emphasize with you is that you guys will have to stay in your assigned seats for the entire class period. Start practicing that now. I know it's difficult, but that's what we're going to have to do in order to remain safe. And finally, your mask is going to have to remain on at all times when you're in the school building, covering your nose and mouth the entire time that you're in the school building. Now, passing time you're not really quite familiar with because you've never been to middle school, and that's okay. This is the time, it's break times now for you guys, but passing time is going to be the time in between classes because you will be moving from 1 hour to the next. And this is going to be how you get from one class to the next. Usually, a bell would ring and everyone would go out in the hallway at the same time. That won't be happening. We'll be releasing individual classes at different times to get them to go to their next class. There will be teachers everywhere to help you find where you need to be. You do not need to worry about getting lost. We are here and we will help you. And because we're being dismissed by class, you will have to wait outside a classroom sometimes because there may still be students inside that other class. When waiting outside that classroom, you need to stand on the marks that are on the floors so that you're staying socially distanced and that you're not causing unnecessary COVID safety issues. So, big takeaways. Bring your Chromebook, your science notebooks, pens, pencils, and water bottles. Know that during our class period, you're going to have to remain in your seats, and you're going to have to not be able to move around a lot, and that you have to wear a mask. And know that we're going to help you guys find out where you're going. So, really excited to see those of you who are coming back. Zoom guys, you're going to stay on Zoom, and it's going to be amazing. So, all right, let's get started. So, let's review our updraft forces really quick. This is what we covered last week, was this updraft force. And the question we were trying to answer is, why do clouds stay up in the air instead of falling down to the ground? What is it that is keeping those clouds up there? Because some of you have made some really, really great observations, especially about things like, well, hot air rises and cold air sinks. So why is it colder the higher we go up in the troposphere? It should be, if cold air sinks, that cold air should sink. Well, the reason is an updraft force. And what did we learn? We learned that when warm air rises, it creates this pushing force, and it pushes everything above it up. And that force of that warm air rising will hold everything above it up in the sky as long as it weighs less than the updraft force. If there's cold air up here, like water molecules that all start sticking together, and that clump starts getting heavier and heavier, and it's heavier than this force pushing up, it will fall right back to the ground. So basically what I wanted you to understand is that there's an updraft force that pushes things up and keeps things up there as long as it weighs less than the force that's pushing it. All right, independent work, air masses. Our learning target for today, I can explain what an air mass is. I would also like you to be able to classify. So we should change this to I can explain and classify what an air mass is. I can explain what an air mass is and classify it into a category. How about that? That works better. I can explain what an air mass is and classify it into a category. So here is your task. You're going to end this Edpuzzle in a second, and when the Edpuzzle ends, you're going to open up task number 1, the air mass worksheet, and that is what you're going to complete for the next 30 minutes. You're going to work on that worksheet for the next 30 minutes, and then we'll review what you learned in our afternoon class. So finish this Edpuzzle and then open task number 1 and complete the air mass worksheet. All right, that is all that I have for you. Here's what you need to have done for your independent work. You should have watched this Edpuzzle, and then I need you to complete task number 1, the air mass worksheet, and you're all set. I will see you this afternoon. Have a wonderful morning.